Hello. So this video will be about the wolf Fenris of Osgod and the wolf Garmr of Helheim. So first I will talk about Fenris. So the first thing you want to know to understand the sagas is Fenris is a representation of the ego, the human ego. So when they say his mouth is so large it can swallow the universe, it means your ego, if not kept in check and not kept healthy, under control, it will destroy your life. So the gods, who represent the purity of ourselves, the highest purity of ourselves, act as a force to keep it in check, to keep your ego in check. That is why they don't kill it. I mean, Christianity and other religions, Islam and all that, they train you to kill your ego, to kill your ego. That is not correct, that is wrong. You do not want to kill your ego. It has a purpose, or you would not have it in nature. But you do need to keep it in check, or it can ruin your life. Our pagan ancestors understood this. So the sagas tell us that that's why they don't kill it, because they are just keeping your ego in check. You do not want to kill your ego. So they keep trying to trick him. They use his ego to trick him. They say, you know, Fenris, if you break out of this chain, this big giant chain, you know, think of how famous you would be. So because he is ego, he agrees and says, you're right, I would be so famous if I broke out of this big chain. Go ahead, put the chain on me. So they put the chain on him and he breaks it. Then they come back with a rope. They put the rope on him. Same thing, he breaks it, no problem. Giant rope. So the gods realize they need some magic. So they go to the dwarves and they get them to create just a string. And this string is magical though. It's called Gleipnir. And if you know what Gleipnir means, it means open. So the string that binds your ego is called open. That means it's a representation in the saga. What it is telling you is that if you have a closed mind, your ego will become large and huge and it will fuck up your life. It will destroy your life. But if you have an open mind, your ego will be healthy and it will be kept in check. So that is a bit about Fenris. Now with Garmr in Helheim. So Garmr is the representation of the emptiness of the soul. You know, when you really wanted something and you just feel you didn't achieve it and you feel empty, and then people start to drink alcohol to try and fill that hole inside them, or do drugs, and they become addicted to something because they're trying to fill an empty hole, we say, a bottomless pit, right? They keep drinking, or they keep smoking, or they keep doing drugs because they can't fill that hole with inside their soul that they feel, that regret, that emptiness. That is what the wolf Garmr represents. And the reason why they say Garmr is the worst of all monsters, even Fenris is not as bad as Garmr, is because what they are saying is there is no worse feeling than the feeling of having that emptiness, of regret, of not achieving what you wanted to achieve in this life. Now that is also why Garmr is in Helheim, because where do you go when you have not achieved everything you wanted to achieve in your life? You go back to Helheim, and then you plan another life, and you do it all over again. And you do this many times. So that is the representation of Garmr, and why Garmr is in Helheim. So I hope you now have a different view of all that. Most people would never understand it this way, but our pagan ancestors, this is how they saw the sagas. So, now when you're talking about these two wolves in Ragnarok fighting the gods, that is why in Ragnarok Fenris, who is the ego, fights who? He fights Woden, Allfather Woden. Because Woden has no ego. He is the fury of self-awareness. He does not have an ego. He does not need an ego. He is Woden. So that is why he is swallowed up by Fenris. The ego swallows up Woden. It is a representation. Woden does not actually, this isn't real. Woden is not dead, none of that. This is all myth and representations. This is for us to learn for our lives. So when Woden is swallowed up by the ego in Ragnarok, that is just showing you, if you do not keep your ego in check and, you know, with an open mind and keeping it under control, it will swallow you up. So then, who does Garmr fight in the Ragnarok? He fights Tyr, right? Tyr. The god Tyr. So, what does Tyr represent? He represents courage, justice, victory, awareness, right? The highest awareness, right? Because you know where you're going with Tyr, right? He is that North Star directing you, where you know where you're going. And what does Garmr? Complete opposite. Pure attachment to what you did not accomplish. Pure regret. It's, you know, so that is why Tyr fights Garmr. See, all these things are representations in the sagas, and most people do not understand them. So I hope I taught you something new and pointed out something so you can learn from the sagas and see them the way that our pagan ancestors before Christianity would have seen them. Tschüss.